Have you ever found yourself trapped in a never-ending cycle of cutting costs only to see your restaurant's growth stagnate? What if I told you there's a different path to prosperity, one that focuses on growth rather than mere survival? Hey there, Restaurant Pro. This is Dave Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. And today I'm going to talk about when it's more appropriate to grow revenue, not cut costs. Now imagine a small family-owned restaurant in the heart of a bustling city. The owners, a passionate couple, pour their hearts into creating incredible food, yet they struggle to make ends meet. They decide to cut costs, trim the menu, reduce staff, even compromise on ingredients. But instead of thriving, the restaurant loses its charm and customers begin to drift away. Now, let's take a journey together to explore maybe, a different approach. One that emphasizes increasing revenue rather than decreasing your expenses. It's a path that leads to growth, innovation, and financial freedom that every restaurant owner dreams of. Let me add a disclaimer here. This by no means is anything about ignoring operational systems, operating on a budget, right? Implementing those systems, hitting KPIs, key performance indicators. But rather, it's about some restaurants really need to focus on increasing their sales way before they start focusing on cutting costs. I often talk with restaurant owners just like the couple I just described. They fit that description, and their annual sales are under $850,000 a year. Most often ranging from $350,000 to $750,000 a year. The tough part in that range, you really have purchased a job. And the discussion often goes, I can't help you reduce costs enough because your sales volumes are too low. I say, if I helped you save 10% on, say, a $500,000 a year restaurant, that's $50,000. And since you're already in a financial bind, you're going to work your ass off with not much reward. But if you were able to get your sales, up to $850,000 or $1 million, that 10% could become life-changing money. Imagine making $100,000 more a year on the same sales you're doing right now. That means you've got to be at $100,000. This puts our call onto a path of increasing sales first, not about cutting costs and finding efficiencies. If this is you, what should you focus on? When focusing on revenue first approach, right? The revenue first approach, get my sales up. You need to focus on what makes your restaurant unique. Invest in quality, a great hospitality experience and marketing, because cutting costs, it has its limits. There are a lot of strategies you can use to increase your revenue. For starters, you should listen to my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all the popular podcasting services. Find episode 45 entitled Example of How to Increase Restaurant Sales $250,000 in 1 year. Now be careful. If you're not already listening to my podcast, you might get stuck going down the rabbit hole and listening to more episodes, but do look it up. With that said, here are 3 quick strategies. 1, enhance your menu by offering items that, set you apart from the competition. 2, improve your guest experience by training your staff. And 3, leverage your social media by telling your story and connecting with your community. These 3 things can help you increase your sales, but again, listen to episode 45. Let me pause here, and I'm going to plug a friend of mine, Matt Plapp. His company is America's Best Restaurants. If you're looking to explode your sales, you must contact his company. I get nothing from this endorsement. He's just a really great guy, and what they're doing is really changing the industry. He's at the top of my list of marketing pros that I tell my members about. Now, this growth approach, if this sounds like something would work for your restaurant, then I'm going to tell you, yes, you need to look him up. Now, getting back into this, let me tell you about, a passionate restaurant owner, T. T reached out to me, some months ago because she had a dream for her restaurant, which wasn't her reality. She struggled with sales, employees, and not knowing what she needed to do to make money, the money she deserved. So, like many restaurant owners, she got on a discovery call with me. And during our hour-plus Zoom meeting, I learned about her passion for the industry, her dream, the challenge she was facing in her restaurant. And during my discovery phase of our meeting, I learned that her annual sales were under $250,000 a year. I immediately explained to her my program wasn't the right fit for her, that the investment didn't make sense for her based on her volumes, and that we couldn't reduce her expenses enough for her to make money. She needed to increase her sales, so I had to be very frank with her. And in that frank conversation, I said, you need to focus all of your efforts on growth, growing your sales above $800,000 a year. Well, a year later, I got an email from her saying, and I quote, David, on our discovery call last year, you told me that you wouldn't coach me because I only made $230,000 last year. You told me to figure it out. I closed for 2 months and rebranded myself. I made $480,000 in 5 months. I'm on track to finish the year with $800,000 a year in sales. Now she's on a path where systems can change her life, and she can make the money in the restaurant business, the money she deserves. To make sure you can avoid common pitfalls many restaurant owners fall victim to when implementing revenue first approach, don't sacrifice quality for cost savings. Going against your core values on quality is a certain recipe for disaster with your customers. And finally, make sure you look at what you're spending money on and balance expenses with expenses that are really investments in growth. So the next time you find yourself, reaching for the scissor to cut another expense, pause and ask yourself, is this the path to prosperity? Or am I cutting away the very soul of my restaurant? Remember, the key to a true success in the restaurant business lies not in trimming away, but building up, nurturing growth, and embracing the revenue first approach. So what would I tell you? Join with my friend Matt Plapp and America's Best Restaurants on this exciting journey of growth, a revenue first approach. And let his team transform your restaurant into a thriving, vibrant business that not only survives, but thrives. The choice is yours. Choose growth, choose success, choose prosperity. Cheers. Be sure to join me live every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, travel schedule permitting, where I'll get you pumped about the upcoming weekend, get you excited about crushing your goals and finding the motivation to be best you possible. Plus, I'll answer your burning questions live.